We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Infinite Gary. Of course, he's got some questions for us. One of Gary's many setups is a small 2.0 setup on top of a table that he just uses for casual CD playback. Dude, I've got to visit this dude's house sometime. I feel like there's speakers literally everywhere.
Oh, he has mentioned a setup in a bathroom. He has mentioned it in passing. So there are speakers everywhere in this house.
I love having music playing when I'm taking a shower. I'll be honest with you. I do. I love it. If I had a whole house audio, having speakers, a zone for my bathroom where I can change the music in my bathroom would be fantastic. So, and now that I got Alexa, right? Alexa Echo, I got it for Father's Day. It was on sale for like $40 or something like that. And I have Bluetooth speakers all over the house anyways. So Alexa and I are getting to know each other, kind of working it out, you know. Got some communication issues. I'm not quite sure I speak her language yet. Anyways, Gary, small setup, 2.0, whatever. It's never very loud, and he doesn't have any intention of altering the placement or positioning in any way. At the moment, he's using a pair of Dynaudio 110 bookshelf speakers that are only 34 inches apart. Okay, they're sitting on stands, too, it looks like.
Yeah, those isoacoustics.
There's cool little
isolation
stands.
risers.
Yeah, they look a little big, a little small for these speakers, but whatever. When a pair of speakers are this close together, is there a particular speaker design that is especially good or especially bad? Are there certain dispersion characteristics that would be particularly well suited to having the left and right speakers so close together? Yes. You would want something that had a very beamy tweeter would be nice. It would give you very precise imaging. It's not saying that having good, wide dispersion like normal would be. But as you move further away from this thing, I know you're sitting mostly pretty close, but as you sit further back or further away, your imaging is going to fuzz out a little bit. So having a more precise tweeter, I would think would be a good thing. Something that you could aim towards your face and have it really give you some good, like little electrostatic panels would be nice.
Right. Now, I agree if the situation is you're seated close to in front of these speakers.
Isn't that what stationary? It's a tabletop thing.
So I'm not sure if this is just a system that's like, it looks like it's maybe in his dining room. So I'm like, is this a system that just is there for the background?
He eats lunch there.
It could be. But but it depends on use case, right? Because for Gary and for everyone else, if the idea of this system is I just have this set up in a room and it's there in the background and I'm far away from these speakers and moving around, I'm not sitting and intensely listening to them, then in that case, who cares? You just want wide dispersion so that you hear the music throughout the whole room.
Right. And you basically have a mono source at that point too. So you're not getting stereo. I mean, if these things are 34 inches apart, if you're further than 34 inches away and you're not right smack dab in between the two of them, how much stereo separation you're getting.
Right. So the idea of the beamy type of tweeter, the highly directional speaker, is if you're in the situation where you are
like
sitting
a desktop
right close to them.
situation where you're sitting at a desk and there's two speakers there.
And that way, the information that reaches your left ear from the front left speaker is different from the information that reaches your left ear from the front right speaker. That's what gives you the stereo effect, is your left and right ears getting distinct, separate information. So, kind of like headphones. So that's where that comes into play. So, Gary, you can answer for yourself what the situation is, but that would be what you're looking for, depending on how you're using these speakers.
There are some things to think about too, though, and I know he says he's not going to move his speakers, but when you're sitting this close, let's pretend it's an actual desktop setup, okay?
Sure.
There are desktop setups where the speaker itself is sort of angled back a little bit, and the tweeter is on the bottom. The idea here is that you're going to get a bounce off of the tweeter off of the desk. That's happening, whether you like it or not. So putting the tweeter low and angling it up slightly, you get to control that bounce, because you know that people who are sitting at a desk are probably sitting, within this particular range, and you want to make sure you can control that bounce. So in your case, you might angle your speakers a little bit towards yourself or something like that. You could do that. If you're looking for good stereo imaging, you could make sure that whatever's between your speaker, like the first reflection point on your desk, has a little damping. I mean, I could literally be, in this case, a mouse pad would be fine. Just make sure that's where your mouse pad is. Something like that. I mean, there's all sorts of designs. KEF, when they make their speakers that are, I mean, they have concentric drivers anyways, but some of their highest end, monitors basically are just a single concentric driver within, and it's that whole idea is that it's a really super beamy, and it's going to come, and you're going to get good stereo separation from those speakers. Gary often sees the phrase "good for the price" in speaker reviews, but what does that really mean? Does it mean the speaker isn't actually all that good? You're reading way too much into that, Gary. Or if it means the speaker is good, but some other more expensive speaker is just better, which more expensive speaker is being used for comparison? Is the phrase only useful if we know what the good for the price speaker is being compared to, so that we can make the same comparisons for ourselves? Gary, I have never ever seen a good for the price in a professional review that does not mention what price point they're comparing it to. So if you're talking about comments on Amazon, do not that's not those aren't reviews. That's nothing. That's garbage. You read those if you're smart, and I know you are. You will read those looking for problems or specific things that people are having, that are doing with these things. Like when I read reviews on Amazon, I am filtering through all the people who clearly have never experienced anything but this one thing that they're experiencing, and just get the key pieces of information that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a speaker. People talk about how it's got great bass. I don't care how much bass you think it's got. Shut up. People. It's the best headphones I've ever had. Don't care. This is literally the second pair of headphones you've ever had. Of course, it's better than the other ones. That's why you bought them. I'm looking for physical things that are wrong with the case, physical, with like the headphones themselves, how long or how well the cable held up, those sorts of things. That's what I'm looking for with Amazon reviews. With an actual professional review, they're going to say twice the price or 4 times the price. If they say 4 times the price, that they're just talking out of their what, because that's like shorthand in audio reviews for I am a unprofessional professional reviewer, because that was the thing that Bose latched onto. For good speakers 4 times the price or something like that, and we don't do that. Professionals reviewers don't do that anymore. They don't say those words. So if they say good for the price, they will tell you the price, and the price is usually double normally. And what they're saying is that they have heard speakers that cost double that sound similarly good to these. Does that make those other speakers bad? Usually not. But that makes these sound, pretty good. And then continue reading, Gary, because after that there'll be the caveats, and they always come. Except the cabinet's not as nice, or it doesn't look as good, or doesn't play as loud, or doesn't have as much bass, or this or that or that. So they will always qualify this statement. Yes, sonically, they do match up well with speakers twice the price. Guess what? That's almost always the case. I hate to break it to you. Any decent speaker will sound very similar.
You can find something that's twice or 4 times the price that sounds about the same.
Sure. Not the same. And what's the difference? All sorts of things that are very, very material, and some that aren't. So, this is just one thing that they say, and you're reading just I think you're reading way too much into it.
Well, to me, one way to look at it, there's an alternative phrase that you could use, which is there's room for improvement, but you would have to pay more to get that improvement.
Right.
That's the alternative to good for the price, right? So like I would say, the Andrew Jones Pioneer speakers are very, very good for their price.
Yep.
Right? Are there speakers that objectively and subjectively can be a little bit better? Yes. That's what I would say, that yes, there's room for improvement. However, you're not going to find anything that's the same price as the Pioneer Andrew Jones speakers that gives you those improvements. You're going to have to pay more to get those improvements that are small, but perhaps available. So that's how I look at good for the price.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.